My uncle's $10 million company went to whoever could crack his final code in 48 hours, and my Harvard-educated siblings hired hackers while I remembered the bedtime stories he told me. Uncle Elijah died on a Monday morning at 4:17 a.m. in his penthouse overlooking the Seattle skyline, his fingers still resting on his laptop keyboard. The medical examiner said massive heart attack, instant and painless, though I doubted anything about death was truly painless. He was 53 years old and worth approximately $47 million, most of it tied up in Datacrypt Solutions, the cybersecurity company he'd built from nothing over 20 years. The funeral was scheduled for Thursday, but the will reading happened Wednesday afternoon at his attorney's office downtown, which should have been my first clue that something unusual was coming. My 3 siblings arrived in designer suits and practiced grief expressions, already calculating their inheritance shares before the lawyer even opened the envelope. My older sister Octavia flew in from Boston where she worked as a senior partner at a venture capital firm, her Harvard MBA framed in her corner office alongside photos with senators and tech billionaires. She'd made her first million by 30 and her fifth by 35, building an empire through ruthless investment strategies and zero emotional attachment to failure. My brother Sterling arrived from San Francisco in a Tesla that cost more than most people's houses, his Stanford computer science degree having led him to found 3 successful startups before age 40. My younger sister Magnolia came from Manhattan where she ran a hedge fund specializing in tech acquisitions, her Yale economics background and photographic memory making her a legend in financial circles. Then there was me, Phoenix Castellano, the family disappointment with a degree in literature from a state school and a job teaching creative writing at a community college. I made $43,000 a year and lived in a 1-bedroom apartment with secondhand furniture. The attorney's name was Bernard Yates, and he had the exhausted expression of someone who'd spent decades managing wealthy people's demands and deceptions. He opened the leather portfolio containing Uncle Elijah's will and began reading in a monotone voice that suggested he'd done this 1,000 times. The usual legal language about sound mind and disposing of assets. Then he reached the part that made my siblings lean forward with predatory interest. To my nieces and nephews, I leave the controlling shares of Datacrypt Solutions, valued at approximately $10.3 million as of this date. However, this inheritance comes with conditions. Bernard paused and looked at each of us over his reading glasses, as if measuring whether we were prepared for what came next. Uncle Elijah created a challenge that must be completed within 48 hours of this reading. Whoever solves it receives the company. The others receive nothing. The room exploded with simultaneous objections. Octavia demanded to know the legal basis for such a ridiculous condition. Sterling called it manipulative garbage and threatened to contest the will immediately. Magnolia pulled out her phone and started texting her attorneys before Bernard could continue. I just sat there feeling the familiar weight of being invisible in my own family, the one who didn't matter because I didn't have the right credentials or income bracket. Bernard raised his hand for silence and continued reading. The challenge is this. I have encrypted a file containing the transfer documents and access codes for Datacrypt Solutions. The encryption is unbreakable by conventional means. The password is a single phrase, no numbers or special characters, exactly 17 words long. You have 48 hours from the moment